Another 5 seconds of being choked. I was thrown up against the wall and slammed to the floor.
And we're back, guys. How's it going? I missed you guys, man. I've been waiting all day, literally, bro, for part 2. I know you guys really enjoyed part 1 of this. Last time that we saw it, it got really good. Like, some guy was trying to get some kidneys from Sam's Club, bro. Some parents had kidnapped a child, bro, and then this guy got roofied. You got all kinds of crazy, bro, like all kinds of crazy shit out there, man. Yeah, guys, we're back. I've been waiting literally all day to do this video. You guys thought I was gonna leave you hanging, right? Have confidence in me, man. Come on, man. You know what I do. You know who I am. Good. We're gonna continue this. This is part 2. Remember, for those of you guys who are just tuning in, this is 20 horror stories animated. Part 2, if you want to see part 1, the link is in the description. I'm going to put it down below. Without further ado, let's start it, man. Let's start it. Alright, let's get it.
I was 15. I was at my boyfriend's house and it was about 10:30 p.m. We were sitting on his trampoline in his backyard, which faces a small park behind his house. His yard is on a ground level, about a meter above the ground level the park is on, and his fence is on that lower level. So by sitting on the trampoline, we could see out into the darkness of the park, which was just slightly illuminated by his yard lights. We're talking when suddenly I feel an eerie chill, like we're being watched, like something wants us to know we're being watched. I remember glancing all over the place and jumping at the smallest sounds of the night.
It's called a predator sense.
My boyfriend was laughing at me, and all before he suddenly stilled and rose up onto his knees to look at something in the park.
Hey, there's a man watching us from that tree over there.
Those words still chill me to the core. I froze and asked him to tell me what he was doing. He told me that the man was very tall, almost halfway up the tree, which was a large eucalyptus, and that only his head and shoulder were really visible, and that his eyes were glowing or reflecting the light from his yard lights. I wondered if he was lying and making fun of me again for being paranoid earlier, so I sat up and leaned over him to see the thing next to the tree. There it was.
Damn.
It was
That's Slender,
tall
man.
and darker than the shadows of the trees, and wasn't lit up like the trees were from the lights. Its eyes were shining brightly, and it was exceptionally tall.
Damn.
It couldn't be a man,
That's
if
creepy,
not for the
bro.
shoulder and arm draped over the
Throw a
tree,
rock.
and so it wasn't an animal either. I fell back onto the trampoline, and my boyfriend told me to be quiet and to start moving back towards the house. It was moving towards us.
Yo.
I shook my head. I didn't want to move.
Start running.
I couldn't even bring myself to move. I was frozen in fear or something.
Bro, what are you doing?
I don't know, but I remember he had to force me up, swearing loudly and telling me he was nearly at the fence. I got up and caught a glance of a figure nearly across the short distance from the trees to his yard, and I booked it to the stairs up to his front door.
Now you want to hit it.
I glanced back to look again, and my boyfriend yelled at me not to, and that he was climbing over the fence. And I somehow moved even faster and made it to the door without tripping up the stairs and breaking a leg. He told me again it had been trying to climb over the fence when I slowed down to take a look. His family is very religious, and his father swears it was a demon trying to test their faith or something, but I don't think it was. I had another encounter maybe a month later. My boyfriend told me that a figure was watching me from exposed ceiling beams of my old barn-like house during a FaceTime call late at night.
Nah,
maybe a shadow.
You gotta ditch that
maybe
girl,
an Australian
bro.
version of a skinwalker. I'm not really sure.
She's bringing demons
I'm 19
to your house,
now,
bro.
and I still can't stop thinking about what happened.
That's crazy. A true paranormal experience.
My name is
story.
Lanai, and I'm an 18-year-old from New Jersey that is currently living in Ohio. And this experience happened to me a few months ago at my brother's house. My brother Ivan had just moved into this house with his wife and his 10-year-old child. It was my first ever time visiting, since I was working all the time and we was barely home. Anyway, I arrived at my brother's house and got out of my car. As soon as I pulled into the driveway of the place, I started getting an uneasy feeling. The house was a blue 3-story house that was surrounded by 2 other houses, and while I grabbed my purse, I glanced up at the window. I froze. Because staring back at me from the 2nd floor window was this older man wearing a flannel. His hair was long and was messy, but he was gone within seconds.
Shit.
I brushed this off, figuring maybe Ivan and our other brother Ian was screwing with me. But both Ivan and Ian came out to 1st floor and gave me a hug. I was a bit freaked out over this, but I sucked it up and walked inside with them. Upstairs on the 2nd floor was where my niece Iris and my nephew sleep, and my brother and his wife slept on the 3rd floor. Of course, Iris was excited to see me and wanted me to see her room. So she took me by my hand and ran me upstairs to her room. All I can say, this place was creepy, and it smelled like a rotting corpse of something.
Got some demon in her.
The room was cold, and it felt as if time stopped altogether. I suddenly snapped out of this trance I was in, and Iris was showing me her collection of items she got from our grandmother in Korea when we all went together. Iris was paying no attention to me at all, but she kept talking and then said, "Hey auntie, I'll be right back. Stay here, okay?" I agreed, and she left the room. I went over to one of the walls nearest to the window to where I saw the man earlier. On the wall, I noticed something was there.
Nosy ass.
I took a few steps closer, and I saw the name Max carved into the wall. It, strangely enough, was also in what looked like blood or something.
Oh, shit.
I got chills down my spine, and just as this was happening, I heard what sounded like a man say, "You'll never leave, Lanai." And then I was spun around by nothing. There was nobody there.
Oh.
I was alone, and something had what felt like a hand around my neck, choking me.
Oh,
the smell got even worse.
Bro.
It got colder.
And you just let it happen?
I could no longer breathe. After about another 5 seconds of being choked, I was thrown up against the wall and slammed to the floor. I was crying, and I jumped up, really not giving a shit about what attacked me. But I practically mowed Iris over as I sprinted down the stairs, ran past my very confused brothers. I was shouting as I dashed for my keys and pretty much dived myself into my car.
I'm outie, bro.
I started it up
She a
and
real
looked
one.
one more time at the window, and a pair of yellow eyes with the most fucked up Joker-looking smile stared at me. I threw my 67 Chevy into reverse and never looked back. Now, after a few months, I live by myself in a house in Dayton.
That's crazy.
I think he followed me, because now I see, hear, and sense things.
You in the house? Oh,
stuff in my house gets thrown at me and breaks. I can still smell that rotting corpse smell to this every day.
What'd you do to that man, bro? Sometimes curious makes you to danger. Curious makes you what?
I remember it as clear as it was yesterday. It happened when I was in high school, where kindergarten campus, elementary, high school, and college campuses are all located near to each other. It is a huge school, so getting lost sometimes is inevitable. At that time, I was with my teammates, Rouge, Aaron, and Cecile. I was part of the math club in our campus, and the math room was relocated at the elementary campus, since the one we usually trained in was under construction. It was weirdly quiet when we were walking at a long catwalk passing through a big oak tree. The tree was old, and I remembered passing by it always when I was in kindergarten. A shiver ran against my skin as we passed it, and I remember feeling a bit dizzy, but shrugged it off.
They look like
as we were nearing our room, we saw a commotion at a distance. 3rd graders, I believe, were outside of their room, and the teacher was trying her best to calm them while leading them to the 4th graders' room. The 4 of us looked at each other, curious about what is happening. So, we agreed to figure out what was happening. As we neared the distance, hairs at the back of my neck started to rise, and my eyes widened at what I heard next. Coming from the third grader's room, a loud animalistic roar and loud thumps were heard. We were petrified as we closed in. Cecile told Aaron to look at the windows, as it was apparent that all of us were already frozen on our places. Aaron stepped forward, and I saw right then the horror registered in his face. But curiosity got the best of us as to what happened. With the ear-deafening screams inside, I wanted to know what was happening. The next thing I remember then, that made me drop my bag, was the sight of a girl tied on a chair in a dim room, shouting. The teachers were holding her in place and praying while one of them is demanding that the demon inside of her to leave. My teeth chattered uncontrollably as the skeptic in me vanished. The sight was terrifying,
out of there, bro. You don't want that
but
demon
it
to
made
be
me
in
think
you.
of horror movies that usually made me stay up at night.
The Last Exorcism.
It was scary to see it in real life. We backed away when the possessed girl mentioned our names one by one and continued laughing.
Fuck.
As her hair moved and we came face to face with it, her eyes were all white. She was pale. Saliva was dripping out of her outstretched mouth. One of the teachers hurriedly walked out of the room and yelled at us to go away, and as swiftly, we scrambled away from the scene. Several days later, the news got out, and everyone in the campus knew what happened. They said that the girl played earlier at that huge oak tree and angered the ghosts living there. We still could not believe what happened, but one thing is for sure. The memory stayed with me forever, reminding me that sometimes curiosity can lead you to danger.
Yeah, alright guys, we're gonna stop it right there. I actually like this series, bro. Like part 2, that thing was crazy. Damn, bro. Like in the second one, like yeah, she's smart. She should have ran, but that demon was just on her. Like it wasn't going away. I thought it was just gonna be in the house that she was gonna get like things thrown at, but nah, bro. That demon followed her. Probably gonna follow her to the grave, no cap. But yeah, guys, thank you if you made it to the end. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. By the way, send me scary stories, man. If you want me to take a look at it, send it to me, man. Don't hesitate. I love doing all that shit, man. But yeah, guys, I appreciate you, man. Thank you. Stay tuned for part 3. Deuces.